do that after we come on. Let's go and let's talk a little bit about the Southern Conference, okay?
Okay.
All right. Southern Conference, nobody follows it. Like SoCon John Hooper of Mid-Major Madness. Playoff fields are out. We talked to Randy Eaton in the first half hour. He was the guy that got ETSU into the FCS playoffs, tournament, if you will, of 24 teams. And obviously, Wofford won on tiebreakers after ETSU lost to Samford, and Furman allowed more than 16 points to the Mercer Bears. But SoCon John Hooper has been tweeting out a lot of support and a lot of love to the Furman Paladins, saying, oh, they ought to make it. Not Incarnate Word, not, who else was a team that just, Lamar, not someone like that in the scope of some Southern Conference fans. Okay, you're SoCon John Hooper, make your pitch for Furman to me, even though it's not going to change anything.
Well, you look at the Southland Conference and you look at strength of schedule. There are 5 teams that rank higher than Incarnate Word or Lamar in the staggering ratings, and Furman included in that, along with the ETSU, the Citadel, I think Wofford. One of my cases for Furman to be in the playoffs. And strength of conference, I think you have to look at is something. I know the SoCon was down this year, but having said that, the Southland is probably borderline. I mean, a conference, that used to be a major player in the FCS playoffs, and really as far as you look nationally. But McNeese State's been down. Sam Houston State was down this year. And when those teams tend to be down, the whole league is down. And I just can't make a case for an Incarnate Word. I know it's a great story for what they've been able to do in such a short time, but I don't see. I mean, if you line them up on the field, I don't think Incarnate Word beats Furman or ETSU or Wofford for that matter. So.
Let's see here. Their victories came against Sam Houston State, recently Central Arkansas, who, by the way, the person that I think chairs the entire FCS committee is the AD at Central Arkansas. I see this ACU, forgive me, I'm looking at what, Abilene Christian, I should know that, the Wildcats. They also defeated Southeast Louisiana. Okay, the Lions, where Frank Pergolizzi, the former ETSU athletic director, actually went to and resurrected the football program circa 2003. Although I think they had a down year, they're considered to be a pretty decent team. They rebounded from an 0-3 start. Here's the question that I asked, though, and Randy Eaton said that at the end of the day, it just was that ETSU as well as Furman really didn't beat anybody that we said really stood out to us. And Furman's game against Colgate, which would have been their moment to shine, got canceled because of Hurricane Florence. And even said, if they had beaten for Colgate, they'd probably make it and all this. I want to ask you, though, if DeJuan Bell, and instead of downing the ball at the 3, SU with the score tied 27-all, and that gets Furman the ball at the 25-yard line, we may not be talking about that, because that 3-yard line, that was the field position that gave ETSU the opportunity to win the game on a safety like they did. Now, who knows? Maybe Furman punts, and ETSU now in a mindset not to run out the clock, but rather take it downfield. They score the winning field goal and win 30-27. Or maybe Austin Herink throws a pick and Logan Marchie comes back to start the rest of the year. I mean, you don't know. A pick 6 and Furman goes. But can we say that DeJuan Bell is the reason why ETSU is in the playoffs and Furman isn't?
I don't think you could put it all at that one young man's feet. I think there were a number of things that Furman didn't do in that game down the stretch back and went. While that was a big play, I don't think that cost him the more costly than a hurricane coming through and costing them a game with Colgate. So, I think you can look back on it and say that now, but I don't think one play cost Furman a playoff bid. I think just blowing a 21-point lead with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, which I don't think he cost them a
Talking also to Randy Eaton, and we were discussing how, say, northern Iowa, listen to me, northern Iowa, the Panthers, Earl Bruce used to coach them, got in instead of Indiana State, the Sycamores. And even though in their conference they were both 5-3, but UNI was 6-5, IS. One of those victories was against the D2 school. So to us, it was all 6 victories. And then head-to-head came into play. Panthers, we take the Panthers and not Indiana State. It was one of the last teams to not make the postseason field. Question that I have for you then, would you, SoCon John Hooper, be in favor of a rule that says, those D2s, Southern Conference, let's not play them anymore?
Yeah, I would. And so you're saying they took UNI because they beat Indiana State head-to-head?
Yes, and
the fact that they beat Wofford head-to-head.
Wofford had the automatic berth, and then you went into tiebreaker as one loss, and so that's what got ETSU. I'm trying to think, did Furman have any 7 victories? Did they have any D2 victories?
No, they had all Division I.
Okay, so they both were 7 victory teams, but then the head-to-head came in, and that's another reason why ETSU got in over Furman. It was basically the head-to-head, which goes back to Bell here and downing the ball instead of fair catch. Yeah, go ahead.
And if you count that as a quality win for ETSU, you can't turn around and say that's not a quality win for Furman.
Here's the thing, though.
I'm trying to figure out, if you're comparing those 3, why ETSU and Wofford, they all had quality wins over each other. So those, I would say ETSU's best win is Furman. Wofford's best win was probably ETSU. Furman's best win was Wofford. So they all 3 of them lost to Stanford. So I don't see how the committee could keep them out and say that ETSU and Wofford had more quality wins.
All I can tell you is that I think a lot of people felt the Southern Conference was really down. Talking to Randy Eaton earlier today, so it's cyclical. I mean, which is an answer that an AD in the Southern Conference is going to give. Beans or something like that. What would you do to improve the Southern Conference in football?
Well, first of all, I'd do away with a crazy tiebreaker that has to do with points scored against. And then ETSU, when they lost, what was not fair to them is they couldn't be a part of that tiebreaker. Like it was just between Furman and Wofford at that point for the auto bid.
Why was that not fair? I mean, they'd all played the same teams.
But why is it favor? My point is, I don't know. I mean, I just think that there has to be some way to decide points against, or because Wofford had already finished their SoCon slate, so it's not like they were playing at the same time. They already knew the deal. I don't like the fact that at the end of the year there's all these non-conference games, and then you just throw 2 SoCon games in there. I think if you're gonna, I think the SoCon needs to say if we're gonna play FBS games, they're gonna be early in the season to. They play them in October as well. That's fine, but don't put them on the last Saturday of the season. And most of these games involve either ACC or SEC teams, and I just think it's. I know that the institutions need money. From a player standpoint, I think it affects just the emotions you go through in the game. Because it puts a lot more stress on Furman because they know they can't give up more than 16 points Saturday.
I guess one way you could do it is, and we spoke of this, was, against the 3 teams in the tiebreaker who allows the fewest amount of points. I know originally in our wording, we both kind of thought that would be one way.
Well, it's wordy. I mean, that's I thought it.
The one thing that I thought about the fewest points allowed was that in this fashion, you might have a situation with, say, Furman, where if they had the game in hand against Mercer, let's just say, and it was a point differential, that they might be trying, fourth quarter, they're up by 17 points, but they've got to win by 31. And so now they're just running the score up, and injury factors and so on and so forth. I think that might have been one of the reasons why you don't do it that way. Admittedly, I think point differential often is a tiebreaker in many different circumstances, but that could be the argument there. Of course, I was kind of thinking, could you have a circumstance where you can play to not give up? I mean, I was kind of thinking with, well, maybe if you have a situation where you could win the game on a 4th and 1 at the other team's 40, where you punt instead of go for it, because the idea is now, okay, they got to drive 90 yards instead of 60 or something like that. I mean, I could potentially see a coaching move like that, but I think the idea was this is the way that you could keep the games played like they're supposed to be played and not, yeah.
I mean, having said that, if Furman had known that, they would have left their starters in, the whole fourth quarter against VMI and prevented, extra touchdown or whatever, and they might have done that the whole season. So, I mean, that's kind of the way you can look at it as well.
Well, the thing that I look at is, I think you got to look and say, well, now, if you're the Southern Conference, okay, VMI, what's going on here? Because I think that they kind of drag the conference down, certainly in overall rankings. I mean, just an atrocious program right now. Had one of the writers on from the Roanoke Times, and I was like, who are the good players on VMI before they played ETSU? And he's screaming at me, don't you understand? They don't have any good players. I mean, he literally was saying that. And that would be the first step, I would say.
VMI is, and I kept looking at the score of the Old Dominion game. They had 77 points.
Yeah.
10 minutes left in that game. And I'm thinking, man, how bad, do you have to, what are these players thinking?
Yeah.
They've played in some close games all year, but, the season's completely lost. Now, they're just getting drilled towards the end of the season. I'm not saying they've given up, but it's an expectation when you go into the field as a player. It becomes psychological at some point. And I think, I'm not sure what the answer is for VMI, but I will say this. It pulls down the strength of the Southern Conference in football. I know that to be a fact. So, and when you lose at Georgia Southern in an Appalachian state, I don't know that you can afford to have a VMI pull down your strength, especially on playoff Sunday or selection Sunday.
That's one of the. Do you think that they are in any danger of? They got kicked out of the conference once before. Do you think they could be in any danger of that again?
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, there's the spring meetings down in Hiltonet, I believe. Of course, they've given up 70. Was it twice this year to Stanford and Old Dominion? They've given up 60 another time. So I mean, they're just at 59 to Wofford. They're just bad. And I don't know if you look at their scores. They played well at home against SU. They played well against Western Carolina. But by and large, they've given up just huge point totals and yardage totals to everyone. And I think it's something that SoCon has to look at. As far as basketball, VMI is very competitive.
They're 3-2 now and nearly beat Kentucky, or they lost by 10 points to Kentucky, I should point
right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there's a scenario where you can leave them in the conference for one, every other sport, and then just try to get a Kennesaw State or someone in for football. I don't know. That's something they would look at, or try to maybe replace them with. I know the old members of the SoCon, such as William and Mary and Richmond, might see if they were interested interested in maybe coming over from the CAA. I'm not sure if that would be
for football. For football, like playoffs now. Question though is the Southern.
Well, recent history would seem to indicate that.
Yeah.
You look at obviously there's what Furman has done through the early portion of the season, knocking off a pair of Final Four teams from last year. Mm-hmm. And then you look at, there's been some opportunities for East Tennessee State to beat Creighton. I thought they were the better team in that basketball game. I thought in that game they got a little ragged down the stretch and started taking maybe a few ill-advised shots. But I think UNCG is another one. They very well could have maybe beaten LSU. They were right there the whole game. But LSU's big men were just too much to handle inside. But Wofford, they could have, upset Oklahoma yesterday, but a 15-3 run, I think, late in the second half of that game, kind of spelled doom for the Terriers.
Would you have given them any chance against Stanford? That game got canceled Friday night because of the wildfires.
I think they would have beaten Stanford.
That would have been.
To be honest with you, I think if you look, and you can't compare games, but North Carolina obviously drilling Stanford just about a week, building a little bit. I think they lost like 4-time opportunity for Wofford, and I thought it was their best opportunity coming into the season to beat a Power 5. Now, they've got some opportunities left. They got a game at South Carolina, which I think is a winnable game, and then they play also Mississippi State as well as Kansas. So probably they will have a shot at beating South Carolina, but I really thought Stanford was the game that they might be able to get for fourth league in the street school league.
No, like I said, this is the victory against the Wildcats. Villanova was intriguing, and although I hate bragging on close games, especially in basketball, when VMI, who's 3-2, plays Kentucky, and maybe that looked good. The thing, though, is I think we're getting a little complacent with, ETSU played a Big East team, Creighton close. You're forgetting they blew a 12-point lead late. Or,
right.
Georgia State's a good team that was impressive to go to Atlanta and play with them before you realize, wait a minute, that was a game of runs, and they had the lead late before the Panthers went on a run. So you've got all this capitalized. You mentioned the 15-3 run of Oklahoma. I actually am so happy UMBC defeated Virginia last year because I no longer have to hear about how great it was to lose by 1 point historically to Oklahoma. I mean, Kansas does not talk about how great it is to lose by 1 point to Oklahoma. A legitimate Gonzaga would never talk about Oklahoma. And I think you just got to get into that mindset. Of course, what I'm speaking of, the NCAA tournament
right.
29 years ago. Yeah.
It's got to become an expectation when you step on the floor. And I think to their credit, I think Furman, the day before the Villanova game, they did not practice. They just did a walkthrough in the hotel before they went to the gym and played the game. And Coach Ritchie said that he was just so confident in his team, and sometimes you just got to trust those guys. But he said every time they go out there, they expect to win. And that was the mindset going into Loyola. Intimidated, and sometimes you'll get a team that's talented, but it's a learned process.
All right, SoCon John Hooper, and you're a soccer buff, and hey, let's talk about the SoCon actually advanced to the second round of the NCAA playoffs before falling to the Virginia Cavaliers, but it was a scoreless tie against North Carolina Wilmington. Now, how did that scoreless tie get broken?
Penalty kick shootout. Furman, let's see, they scored their fifth, or Furman scored their, fourth, and the goalkeeper saved UNC Wilmington's fourth. So that left it up to Furman on the fifth kick. They made it, and then, UNC Wilmington made it, and then
So there you are. Furman advanced before falling to Virginia in the second round. But yeah, it's ETSU, of course, a couple of years ago made the NCAA tournament in soccer, but fell to Virginia Tech on the road 1-0. So Furman was able to advance one round for the Southern Conference. Let's also let's break this down real fast here. The FCS championships, the two teams in the SoCon. ETSU, they play Jacksonville State, 7 o'clock Saturday night. I'm looking for a way for ETSU to win this game, but boy, it is really tough. That is a high-powered offense. Who do you like? What does ETSU have to do to defeat the Ohio Valley Conference champs, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks?
Well, the one thing about quarterback is he's been prone to make some rather head-scratching decisions at times, throwing the football and running as well, kind of not tucking the ball away. So I think turnovers will be a big deal in this game, and capitalizing on turnovers. I think ETSU, if they can get a short field, and get up on a couple scores maybe early, because let's be honest, Stanford has the best quarterback in the nation, so you're not going to see a Devlin Hodges.
Wait a minute, you're telling me that you think he's better than Will Greer or Tua or somebody like that?
No, I mean in the
FC. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, hold on a second here. You told me he's better than Drew Lock? He may have broken Steve McNair's record, but I'm not willing to put him up with Steve McNair just yet. And actually, that was one of the things. Yeah, Hodges thrown for 404 yards against ETSU last week, made him the all-time FCS passer, or Division I AA. Turnovers, I'll tell you one thing that I noticed. J.J. German, great. Well, he'll be in his final games, if not game. Cade Stennett is a Jacksonville State kicker. He's hitting only 50% of his field goals, 6 of 12. So if it come down to something like that, I mean, that's a possibility where you might be able to, you keep them to outside the red zone, but in the 30 or so, you might be able to get away with a few of those drives and not having points against you right there if you're ETSU. Meanwhile, Wofford hosting Elon, a former Southern Conference member. Why was it that the Phoenix left, actually?
They actually left following the 2012.
But why?
I'm sorry.
It gave an opportunity for ETSU to join, but why did Elon leave?
They just thought, according to their director of athletics, that was more their footprint, the CAA, and an inordinate amount of students from the New Jersey, northern area, New Jersey,
True.
And New York. So that was more their footprint, I think, and I think that is pretty much the reason they left was they're wanting to attract the recruits from up there, and the Southern Conference. I guess the CAA gave them more of a natural home than the Southern Conference did, because they had just joined, I think, a decade earlier in 2003 was their first year in football. So they weren't. I don't think they were a natural fit. At that time, they were actually a very, very good basketball program, and so I think that was another huge carrot that was sort of dangled out there by the CAA. At the time, was a much better conference from top to bottom in college basketball than the Southern Conference.
I gotta take a commercial break, John, here real fast, but let me hold you on through the break. Tri-City Sports Now, John, Southern Conference. I'm thinking if we should